Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our latest episode of Under the Hood, Driven by Detail. I'm Sean McKeown. Today I'm joined by JP Darcy, Lar Poole and Keith Lenihan. So one of the most recent topics that we'd like to talk about is something that's hit home personally to me in our own garage, myself and Debbie here, is the rising cost of business. So more recently, we did have another guy working for us who's moved on, and he's hopefully decided to go out on his own. And that's left me back working on the floor on my own, which I'm fine. I'm happy with that because I'm more than capable of doing whatever comes in here. But what it's done to the business, it means that we can no longer spread our cost of business across two men, or in my case, I was only getting about 20 hours out a week, where the mechanic that was here was getting a full 40. So all of a sudden now I have to get back in. I have to do 40 hours a week.
Couldn't think of anything worse.
I could ask. Sorry, Keith. Sorry, I'll do it. Keith rings me every day to see how I'm getting on, to make sure I haven't thrown in the towel yet. So the biggest problem we've been faced with is our cost of business is now spread across 40 hours rather than 60, 80 or whatever amount of time. And the cost of business here is quite high, because if anyone has watched my stuff on my own social media on Facebook, they'll see the reasons, some of the reasons why the tooling we've invested in, the costs of it, and where it all adds up. So I released a video there yesterday saying, firstly I spoke to a few of my larger customers, and then I released a video saying, look, we've no choice. We were at 88.10 plus VAT, which at 13.5% VAT is 99.99 euros per hour. We've realised our cost of business is now, and I've stripped everything right back. I've cancelled subscriptions, I've pulled back on tool budgets, I've done everything I can do to keep the business running, but I want to be able to do it in full, because I'm trying to keep me work-life balance still going. So what I'm trying to do is do it within the 40 hours. So that's left us for 40 hours is costing me here at McKeown Oil Services 128 euros an hour for 40 hours to keep the doors open and work away with myself and Debbie. So what I said, look, I'm not putting my rate up to 128 euros an hour. So what we're going to do is we'll put it up to 100 an hour, plus VAT, of course. And as on top of that then, the wee bit you get in your oils, your filters and things like that, that'll bridge the gap. And that'll bring it. So we'll survive and we'll be happy out. And once I can get through the work, I'm happy. But the problem is, as a garage owner, I do feel on one side the duty to try and keep our business affordable to people. I do look at it, 100 euro an hour, like it's a lot of money, especially, it's all right for an oil change because it's only an hour. But when you turn around and get into a bigger job that's 4 or 5, I spent 2.5 hours changing the headlamp here yesterday because the car came out, everything was rusted. I was trying not to break anything. So it's 250 quid to change the bloody headlamp. But I have to keep telling myself, as much as that, I'm looking at that going, that is mental. That's an awful price to be charging any customer. But at the same time, it's what it's costing to keep it. That's out of my control. So I have to stop feeling bad about it. And so I put the video up explaining the thing, and anyone just watching this, do have a wee look at it because it does explain things quite well, I think. But from that, I put the phone in afterwards and I hit share. And then the first thing that comes through my head is like, right, if I just shot myself in the foot, am I going to close the doors? What is going to happen for me as a business, the business that ultimately takes care of my family and keeps food in front of them? You know, I could do without the food, but look, I want to keep feeding the rest of them. Have I turned around and there is always that nervousness. You know what I mean? The business is costing me more than I'm actually making for it. But, you know, just that whole thing, I don't want to keep, you know, I don't want to feel that I'm charging people too much. So when it came to a point yesterday of, Debbie, if I actually don't put the rate up, we may just close the doors. And that's what it came to. It's like, we are at a point where close the business that we've worked on so hard for the last X amount of years. You know, Debbie's working with me 10 years now. We're here in this premises 10 years. And we've gone from strength to strength. And I said, I'm not ready to throw in the towel. I have no intention. Joe, as a good friend of mine, says, failure's not an option. And I want to keep going. And the only way I can keep going is to increase my prices. So after I did that, a few hours later on, I got a wee message through my phone, and it was from Gilbert Groot. If any of you know Gilbert, Gilbert is the CEO, the director of JLM Lubricants in Holland. And he's built a small company from nothing into a worldwide distributor of all sorts of different lubricant products and additives and things like that. And we messaged him off from Gilbert. I'm going to read out, and I have his permission to read this out. He says, Sean, as you know, I'm a big fan of everything you do in social media with your business. It's all very good. I saw your video message about having to increase the prices for your services. Although the message is very sympathetic and I see where you're coming from, I also believe that you should not have to apologise for price adjustments. As a business owner, you have obligations not only towards your customers. So if this is what has to be done for you to maintain a successful business and being able to continue the high service level of your work, it has to be done. People will probably expect you to do so as well. As a fellow business owner, I wanted to share my thoughts and my support, and also because I do recognise myself as well in how you present this particular message in the video. So, to release a small video is a small business. For it to be seen and acknowledged from a CEO of a global company, and that struck a chord with him. I said, look.
In Holland as well.
In Holland. I said, guys, we got to talk about this, because it's not just our industry. It's everyone's industry. And I did see a message yesterday morning on Facebook where it said, over the coming months, and I didn't put it up, right, but it was fitting at the time, over the coming months, when your local businesses, you will see them putting up your prices as prices increase. Don't bash them. Don't give out to them. Support them. Because they're only putting the prices up, as I just said, to keep the doors open. So on that, JP, what's your experience with the rising cost of business?
At the outset, what you hit the nail on the head with understanding their costs, and like if you understand them, hence coming into Kislar. If you understand your, if you understand your cost, it's the start of it, and like for you to keep tabs on it and know that it costs you X amount per hour to be here. Like we've done something similar, and like we're due another price review. But like maybe 2 years ago, our cost to do business, because we work it out per hour, and it cost us €75 per hour for the workshop to be open, and like just to open the door. And at the time we were charged €70 an hour, so we were losing €5 every hour that we traded on our labour rate. And so you mentioned parts and profit, and that was kind of propping it up, and that's the only way we were afloat. And like we've increased that since, but the last time I checked the figures, it's 100. This is like 3 or 4 months old now, but it's €108 per hour. It costs my business to open, and again like that, if we're charging anything under than that, less than that per hour, we're losing money every hour we're open. And it just highlights the importance of knowing that, because before I did the homework, I was wondering why the pot was so tight all the time. And like you'd get a couple of pounds together, and then the parts bill will come in, and then it's gone. And then you gather up another couple of pounds, and then the VAT bill will come in, and it will wipe that out, and you're back to zero again. And understanding the numbers made me see, right, okay, our rate isn't high enough for our business to be profitable. And profitable isn't a dirty word, but the business has a responsibility to its customers to be profitable enough so that in 12 months' time when they need you, you're still there. Yeah. And like knowing that has allowed us, like you said, to keep the price up, to keep in line with the profitable business. But like you've just described, it's only going one direction. And like things like we were discussing earlier about having a waste oil effectiveness, 350 quid. Like all these waste used to be free money you don't used to pay for.
Yeah.
But all this money that you don't see going and increasing and in line with that cost of diagnostic equipment and everything that you have to do to stay at a certain level, it's the cost of doing business has never been in my short time in business as high, and it's only going one direction.
Yeah, and what you just said, so when I started saving my time back in 2000, 2001, so the hourly rate in the main dealer was 30 punts per hour, which is what, about 2%, but 35, 36 euro.
What's a punt?
Sorry, you tell me that.
Oh, 0.78. 0.78 euro, yeah. It was in 2002 anyway.
He was only born then. He doesn't know. So, but back then it was so call it 35 euro. So from 2001 to 2021, the rate has really only, on average, has jumped up to maybe from 35 euro to 65 euro. Okay? So it took 20 years to go from 35 to 65. But what you're saying to me, in the last 3 years, it's gone from
like 100 and, we were 108 per hour now for a labour rate and standard labour.
Yeah, so it's jumped
Yeah.
in this, and this is one of the reasons everyone talking about it is because in such a short amount of time that everything's gone up.
Have you ever known a time where you've seen so many small businesses close? Like I don't ever recall seeing like places that we go and frequent and are used to having food outlets and cafes and all like every week. There's one of them folding, and it's like that because their costs have got so high that they can only charge so much for a cup of coffee or a sandwich or whatever, and that's it. They're going under.
Yeah, there's so many towns in this country didn't recover from COVID. There's so many. The last time myself and Debbie and the kids walked through Cork City, it's like a ghost town.
Yeah.
You know, it's just everywhere we walk past, like, there's very cafes around here. And at the time, it was just like, you had to walk and keep walking. And you're looking at Google going, oh, here's a top-rated place, but it's closed. You know what I mean? And it's being closed. So, you know, Lara, what's your opinion on the cost of the rising cost?
It's incredible trajectory. Like what JP talked about oil there. I remember starting out and take tires. They actually paid you $150 per tire to take it off you. So you're getting paid now. That's now $280 and increasing. Costing you now. Where they used to give you, so that would help bring down the cost. Your oil you were paid for your oil. I'd be fairly trying to keep things tight from as any. We're all SMEs here, and we all try to keep it tight. And yet none of us, like JP doesn't have a yacht, I don't have a Lamborghini, Keith doesn't have a Learjet, and maybe, I don't know what you have, Sean, but I can't imagine having a tree.
No, and it's a fair point to make. Like, you know what I mean, this morning I rocked here at the garage, and I was expecting to see, you know what I mean, a fleet of, premium vehicles up there, and he rocks up in a Kia. Do you know what I mean? So it's like...
You had to get that in, didn't you?
You know, I was shocked. The first thing that came to me was his Land Rover broke down, you know. So
He wouldn't risk driving one up to Dundalk from Swords.
So you know, the cost of the rising cost of businesses has forced Captain Land Rover into a Kia. Sorry, lad.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point. But the other cost, the cost that people should see, but they seem to neglect it when it comes to, and it seems to be their cars. Like they've no problem. Like, no, there's no problem with other industries, but you take electricity. Electricity is exponentially more expensive than it was.
It has come down now, though.
I give you that, Keith. I give you that. Per kilowatt, it has come down from the artificial high that it was 2 or 3 years ago. You know, I'm paying now at the moment 28 cents a kilowatt. Sorry, 0.28 cents a kilowatt. It was 14. It was 14 back in 19. So it's double. Now, 2 years ago, it went up to 56, and some even gave 99. Now, what people aren't saying on their electricity bill is that half of the bill is your electricity usage, but the other half of the, almost half exactly of the bill is government taxes and levies.
That's a valid point.
They're affecting, the government are going on there with helping people with
Yeah, we're
cost
giving
of
you
living.
grants. Yeah.
Give them the paper and robbing it from Paul. Like, it's absolutely a disgrace what the government are going on about. And I'm not a fan of what the government are doing to people and the cost of living of what they're doing to the most needy.
Keith, so, you know, all I can tell you, you know, I mean, cost of rent Dublin, like that's crazy. All I can tell you, I know for me here, if the rent here went up, I honestly couldn't afford to keep the door open unless there was more mechanics that I could actually spread the cost of the business across, you know, and at the minute, there are no mechanics. It's a given at this stage that there's none there.
Yeah, I'm very lucky. I have a great team. Now, I made a lot of changes in looking at the cost of business because I knew this hike was going to be coming. And like this time last year, I would have had 8 staff. I now have 4.
It's usually 4 people you can spread that cost across.
Well, they're not mechanics. There's only 3 mechanics.
So there's only 3 actually.
Actually, I have 5. Sorry, I have 5 now. Sorry, because we have a new girl that is working with us on reception. So there's 5 staff there now. It did make a good difference. I think when I was obviously trying to cost the business, and I'm not deviating, but when you're trying to be all things to everyone, and you have 5 and 6 mechanics on the floor, it's very easy to lose hours, you know. And that comes back. Obviously, you need to be when you're at that level of wages going out. Every hour needs to be utilised.
So the guy asked me on Facebook last night. He says, Sean, he says, if you on post I said, look, it's me and my own. I'm here spreading the cost of business across on these two shoulders. And it was a very fair question. Sean, if you get a mechanic, at the minute you're bearing the brunt of the whole cost of the entire business on your two shoulders. If you get someone to share that with, will you bring your labour rate back down? And I answered the guy and said, look, to be honest with you, a mechanic at this stage, between all the holidays, between, as you just said there a while ago, holidays, sick pay, everything that's involved in employing people now, and talk about this pension crap that's going on, I don't even want to get into that because it's going to be a minefield. All the cost of labour going up so high that, and then to boot, what you just said, so an average mechanic is costing business now €50 an hour.
Yeah.
Right. Even the mechanic might be taking home 20 quid an hour.
And they won't see it like that because they're looking at it going, they're X amount of hours, this is what I'm getting, and they divide it by. And there's two sides, so you just have to get the fine balance between everyone with that.
So, but they're actually costing business €50 an hour.
Yeah.
But that's if they get 40 hours a week out of them. If they're only getting 30 hours a week, the mechanics are actually costing 60 hours an hour. So the point I made to this guy was, look, if I take on a man, he's actually going to be costing business 60 euros an hour. So take a percentage of the cost of business off my shoulders, put it onto him, add it to the 60 euros an hour. That answers your own question. It's just again, it flows back into rising cost. And one of the biggest things, now you mentioned electricity, one of the biggest things is the things the government are doing to try and make this a better country to work in is actually, in my opinion, crucifying the country. Because we're going to get to the point where it doesn't have to be a mechanic. For someone that's taking home 20 hours or 20 euros an hour, that's actually costing the business between 50 and 60 euros per hour. Where does it make sense? Do you know? JP, what? Do you have any opinion on that?
It just, I was more on that for the fixed cost. You're never going to, in my opinion, get 40 hours a week out of a productive, whether it's a mechanic or a plumber or a trade. And there's only so many hours you can charge for. And there's all in between stuff that costs money. But just the fixed cost, just to turn on the lights, if you were saying the power. And in days gone by, the workshop wouldn't have been such a big consumer. But look at all the equipment that's around here that's running to be able to do our job. Yeah. And it's a different garage than what it was 20 years ago. And the costs have gone up in line with the demands that we put in it. And it's not the formal. Our business is profitable. But it's only profitable because they've kept an eye on the costs.
Yeah, you're on top of it.
And our rate is going up alongside it. And it's only, like I say, only go one direction.
How many computers were in a workshop 30 years ago?
There'd be one, maybe.
If there was, which probably a computer probably putting about two kilowatts on it.
Yeah, Nissan Consult.
Yeah, Nissan Consult.
Handheld.
Which powered up off the car itself.
Yeah,
now,
it took the power of the car.
It took the power from the car itself. Now you have to have a charge station, you have to have a battery stabilisation, you have to have a laptop, and them things are consumers of power. Yeah. You know, I say the electricity is absolutely extortionate, and the price of the actual, my gripe is more the tax. Like they're trying to bring down the amount of tax on your bill, and all the levies, have really pushed people really to the close of edge. Business, like, I wouldn't put anyone that goes to work is incredible in my opinion. But let's take what's perceived. Let's just use America. So as an easy one to gauge. So people that work, in restaurants, waitresses or waiters or whatever, they're usually seen as the lowest. And they don't. Some of them just work for their tips. They don't even get. Some of them don't get paid. We'll work for the tips. It's impossible to hire staff now in this country because the minimum wage has gone up again. So the cost then of having someone just to wait on you now is probably double than what it was in 2019.
Which is why these places are closing.
And people can say about people can say about, oh, there's new places open all the time. There will always be entrepreneurship. That's one of the great things of mankind is entrepreneurship. That someone will have a go, but it's having a go and succeeding, having a go and then closing 6 weeks later or a year later. So there's no didn't work because the cost, and people don't see costs. I'm actually trying to spec up a new business, and I'm spending 6 weeks specking her up. And for what I think compared to what we have, I rang you the other day about the cost of a business. Me and you have often argued about how these businesses are worthless. And I said, hold on a second, Keto. I'm trying to spec up a business which wouldn't have as much gear as a garage would. And it's costing me 440 grand.
It's still cheaper than opening a garage.
And I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
well, there's different levels of opening again, because it's not you're going to tour like for the viewers. Like, you can open a garage. You don't need 400 grand to open a garage. I didn't have 400 grand, nor did any of us. I don't think will be opening a garage. You open it and you build and build.
I
and
had
build.
before.
I'm not opening a garage for 400 grand. I'm on from a different business.
Yeah.
The costs of it are so great. And
The cost to get into the level
It's hard to get the level it's at.
Yeah. So just what Keith's saying is you don't need that. You don't need that to open it. You can get going. But what it's took to get to where you are was no different. at
Baby
all.
steps, yeah. And again, you can get, like, when I first done the cost analysis before I went out, a good friend of mine was an accountant, and he told me, like, obviously you'd have your few quid going in, and I'm going to spend X amount on ramps or whatever, right? And an emissions tester and a couple of other bits and bobs. And he was like, yeah, but you have to build that in as a payback. Like, it's, you know, but I would look at it, and most people I think would look at it and go, I should look like 15 grand. I'm going to buy a ramp and throw it into it. But the proper cost analysis of a business, you have to put that as a payback. That has to be paid back, regardless.
Even though it's your money.
Even though it's your money, to get the business running properly and efficiently.
It's a loan you've
you
given
have
business.
to build a payback. Yeah, because if you went to the bank and borrowed the 15
You
grand,
pay
if
it
you
back,
didn't
yeah.
have it, you're paying them back. So you have to factor in. And I don't think a lot of lads do that.
They don't know it.
Yeah.
They don't know, because it's so, my point being about setting a business and the cost of it, the chap who's doing it with me has come into me every other week, I've done this and we're here. And I'd say, what about this? I never thought of that. And that's where I was going with me. I was ever building a garage for 440 grand. This guy is specking up a place I'm trying to build. And he said to me, he's coming back to me. And I'm saying, what about this? Oh, I didn't think of that. And the amount of stuff of people setting up business don't think of things.
You need a new guy.
What's that?
You need a new guy.
Yeah.
He's becoming a bit to you with stuff you didn't think of.
Yeah. But like he's and I said, he goes, oh yeah. And what about this price? And what about that price? And the amount of stealth costs in the business is phenomenal. Trying to kind of way.
Massive.
Do you know the rent thing? The funny thing, when you start doing your figures, right? And everyone's on, so you're going to open a business and you'll say rent is going to cost me X. When you look at your fixed cost, rent is the tiniest ever.
It is, yeah.
of the whole
100%.
But if you want a business, you wouldn't know that. You think, oh, I've got to rent a unit, and sometimes customers say, they say the rent here is big. The rent is not a drop in the ocean of the running cost of the business. It's such a small fraction of what it costs to keep the place up.
One of the things I've heard mostly this week, people say to me, well, Sean, you're not just go back to set up the back of the house. And I go, no, I'll never go back and set up the back of the house. And it's like, but why? Like, you've got the cost of the workshop. Once you get the workshop paid for, it's only 2 years rent will build your workshop. A fine workshop at that. So, but why wouldn't you go home? And I said, well, hang on a minute. I started off, as I've always said, I started off in the corner of a farmyard. Because I say I come from a farm slash haulage background. I tried to get set up in the haulage yard. It was too busy with the lorries going in and out for me to start bringing in cars. There was a car going to get hit by a lorry somewhere. I said, look, go over to the other yard. It's quieter. You'll have no one annoying you. You chaff the cows when you're quiet, you'll be grand. And the problem I had was, right, that's all right, I'm back. It was a much bigger problem than it is now, in fairness, because we've far more systems, we parsing and all sorts of stuff that we didn't have years ago. You remember years ago, you went to the factors. It was open a big book out, you know what I mean? And next thing you go home, right? So it would take 15 to 20 minutes. It would take half an hour to get through Dundalk. It was a school time. So half an hour and half an hour out, you've lost an hour. Then you go home and find out to give you the wrong part. Right? And you're going mental, right? You'll be lucky if you get one delivery a day, right? Lucky. And if there was the wrong part, or you have a car in for sales and you found something else, it's only a drop link. You need it done. It's brake pads, you need it. You're losing an hour. So all of a sudden I found that I was losing 3 hours a day. So 3 hours a day, back then I was 50 euros an hour. That was 150 euros a day I was losing on travelling, or work I could have been doing. So I still had to make that up. I was there till 10 o'clock at night. I was losing so much time going getting parts. And a lot of people don't realise this. When I moved here to town, our landlord that owns the building, he's been an absolute gent to us from the day one. And he helped us get off our feet. He was very reasonable at the start, and he turned around, and it meant that the actual cost of rent was absorbed by the time I was saving. I can get
covered the rent by not driving in and out the town every day.
Oh, I could get 3 deliveries here an hour if I wanted. Whereas out there, you'd be lucky if you got one a day. And that alone is a massive factor in being in a built-up area close to the thing. And some people mightn't see that. Comes, oh, I'm going to stay at home for the rest of my life, and just keep. You know, you want to do something. The last thing I want to say on that, that'll wrap me up in it, is I know a lot of family businesses that are set up from homes out in the sticks or the country, whatever you want to call it. The problem is when it comes to a retirement age, you've nothing to sell. So if you don't buy your premises, get out of your renting or get out, when you've nothing to sell, you've worked all your life, and actually you come to retirement, unless you've got a pot built up, and there's so many mechanics fall into this thing. There's so many 70-year-old mechanics tipping around. They're not fit to do most of the work.
Close the doors.
To close the doors, and that's it. And all of a sudden then they're living on the state pension. They haven't thought that far ahead. So a lot of the problems, it is a problem that people, you need to go out. Fair enough, yes, start off at the back of the house if you want, but build enough customers up to allow you to move into a premises that ultimately you'll be able to buy, that when it does come to retirement, that you have something to sell to retire on. But Keith?
Yeah, I just on your point there, going to the house, we done the podcast last week from the shed at home, and loads of people, why don't you move home? The only thing I'm going to save is the rent.
Yeah.
I've everything else.
Yeah, the only thing.
That's all I'm going to save, realistically, is the rent.
Great.
Yeah, but as far as it goes now, you still have staff, and then you come back to Sean's point then, where the nearest factors is 20 minutes away.
At least.
You're probably getting one delivery a day. And then you
close suppliers, Mr. Tato.
But then you have the fact of, like, I'd say we'd all be guilty of it. If I was working out the back, like, it's hard enough to get me in from the shed as it is. Don't mind if I was working there, she'd never see me.
There's no cut-off time.
No.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Also, you'd have people rocking up there, like on a Sunday morning,
Yeah.
somebody truck it back. For me, as a mechanic, I couldn't think about worse thing than to have your workshop beside the house.
Yeah.
You'd never be finished. I can just see the lights, the recovery lights coming in, dropping the car, and then the customer ringing you late.
Yeah,
When you have a unit like this and opening hours, you're based to go to work, and then when you leave, you're not in work.
The day now we moved into Dundalk, a year back when I was back at the home place, I remember a fella rang me one night at 12 o'clock, I shit you not. He rings me and I answer the phone, I'm just like, what? Hello? Well, I was just wondering how you getting on with the car. I says, and my exact words, and YouTube will probably try to cut this out, are you having a fucking laugh ringing me at 12 o'clock at night, asked about your car? And he goes, oh sorry, I didn't realise what time it is. And I just hung up on him. And I continued working on his car. Because I was out there working on his car. From the day and hour we moved into Dundalk. See, 6 o'clock, I don't know what it is. People just stop ringing. Yeah. The phone stop. They don't ring after 6 o'clock. There's a different, when you have an office, some people will say to me, I have an office rented there, but I don't really need it. I'm like, do people ring after 6 o'clock? No. The minute you go back to the one-man band, the self-employed, working from your house, you are automatically 24-hour on call. Yeah. I don't know what it is, but people just seem to think they can ring you whenever they want.
Well, my customers now, so a lot of them will think they can ring me whenever they want, and that's
partially lunatics ringing you.
Yeah, that's partially my own fault now, because I have it all diverted back through to the landline.
It's for the first time ever you haven't got 40 missed calls from the same number.
Yeah, like that. No exaggeration. I went home, but last Wednesday, and my missus looked at me and went, Jesus, you look tired. I was like, seriously, go through that there and count how many calls on the log in and out from 8 o'clock this morning, and the number was 91 calls taken in one day. How in the name of Jesus do you get that done? Like, you from me. No, I don't think you were even in, because any Dan I was bouncing, I wasn't. You wouldn't mind if...
How many calls do you reckon revenue you get a day?
I know, that's... yeah.
Hundreds of thousands. Yeah. Can you get you out to anybody? No. What do you have to do? Email.
Do you know what? That's a great point, Lang, and we'll probably talk about that, because you mentioned that to me last week, and it's something that we're going to have to look at doing here, because in the absence of having a manned office, you know, I mean, we're trying so hard to keep our work-life balance, and Debbie's here she comes in, she drops the kids at school at night, and she's here, 9:05? She's here till 2 o'clock, and then she goes and picks the kids up, right? And I don't care. I've come to a point where that's not changed. It used to be we put work first, But thankfully, I've realised the family needs to come before, and I'm still like a young enough family, and I've realised that my family needs to come before work. But we still need to do the work. So how do we do it? Right, Debbie, 2 o'clock, go get the kids. So we're struggling at the minute where people are trying to get through, and the phones are blowing up left, right, and centre. I'm here, and now I have no choice but to get the work done. I have to stay on the floor. So, Lara, we've chatted the other day, and you've brought in a new system as regards.
If someone rings, it's a straight away to an answer machine, and on the answer machine it says, "We're busy at the moment. Please email or WhatsApp texts, and we'll get back to you." If most people, when they're looking to get their car maintained, it's kind of just stress ports, isn't it? They're on that, it's at the breaking down, or kind of they're in a spot of bother, they're stressing. They're not very, when you're stressed, you're not very clear. Clarity is not right. Things can get emotional. So from that point of view, I always say to people, just write in an email to me. Writing in an email, and when you're writing in an email, or if you're writing a letter yourself on hand, you start calming yourself down, and you start creating a bit of logic behind it.
You realise you look like a whinger.
Correct. Well, you can say that, Sean. I wouldn't. But no, but it creates a pattern, and basically the process starts then that it's methodical. They've kind of laid out that even when you read it back to themselves, once you read back your email you sent, you read back to that, that's exactly what I meant. So from a commercial point of view, there's no like, I said that to you on the phone. That's gone now. It's in the email or in the WhatsApp. So you can't forget it, or it can't be missaid. And then that, from a commercial point of view, gives us the ability to vet who's so the amount of emails you get, can you look after me golf? No. And that's okay. We can say no. No. But like if you're working on a car and you take the phone, no, not working on golf, it might be only 30 seconds or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But if you're getting 91 of those a day, how do you make up that time? You literally can't, and you ain't going to make up the next day. And my name is not Clark Kent. I can't actually fly around the world and turn time backwards. It only goes one way, unfortunately, time does, and it works against us, because that's what we're selling as time. So from going down the route I went down of your email or your WhatsApp text, game changer. Absolute game changer.
Text.
Absolute game changer. And how I actually came across it was, I was in work one Sunday, and I just went in, I just fancied going in, and I was tipping around, and I was like this. I stayed till 9 o'clock, and I said, this is actually lovely. This is lovely. Had me toys, there's our tools. We're all big kids. Our tools are our toys. We never grow up. We love when we get a new tool. Oh, it's lovely, it's great, we want to try it out. And I'm working with these tools, and I'm enjoying myself. And I was like, this is easy. This is Strom the Park. But as soon as you add because I hadn't got the added pressure of 91 phone calls.
Yeah.
So that was doing.
You can actually get the work.
The stuff done.
Yeah, head to be fit to blow. Like.
Of course it was.
You would.
But
Dawn used to say to me, she says, Larry, Friday was a bad day. She says, she used to know it was a Friday particularly. She says, whatever it was about Friday, get the work out Friday. She says, you were always snapping on a Friday. And she
Friday
said,
night tonight you want the pints.
yeah, look, I'm a teetotaler, so I don't. Yeah, I'm a teetotaler, so the points don't come in. But so since I went to the email and the WhatsApp, game changer, and I will never ever go back.
But I had a typical, since you touched my car, customer emailed me there like a weeks ago, and he'd done this big long email, and you could actually see, if you read the email, the start of it was getting a bit ranty. But as the email went on and it's finished up, like he could see that he was calming down, realising what he was going on about and going, it didn't make much sense. He sent it anyway. I read it and it goes, you've completely contradicted yourself in that email in the sense that, your start off was a ranted, blah, 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 blah. Then as you were writing it, you realised, well, it's actually something else. And I just wrote back calmly, before we proceed with this, we just have a read through the email you sent me again. Before you, and then he came back. He was gone. He says, "No, actually, no." I says, "Look," he says, when can we get sorted?" It went from a typical, since you touched my car, now there's something totally different around, and it's all your fault.
Like a chap that works in the airport parking business, he said to me he couldn't get an appointment with his barber. He had to email him. Yeah. So if it's in other industries, and it's relieving the stress of other industries,
I
why
love that.
not relieve the stress from us? Yeah.
Isn't it brilliant? Like, you're not sitting, like it's all right. Say if you're, I don't know, the thoughts of, I don't know whether it's an ADHD thing or just an entrepreneurial thing, the thoughts of sitting in a barber for an hour and a half waiting on a haircut. Like, on any level.
Sitting
wasn't it-
anywhere for an hour and a half is, you know...
Less fun.
Yeah, no. Like, yeah, no, sitting out, like, I'd be the same. I'd get very impatient.
I've been bored of throwing out what you're doing with that WhatsApp and email. I think that would be a game changer. And like you say,
Well, if,
taking the stress out of others,
if Tesla do it, and Tesla, we take it on a graph.
That's so special.
Well, that's fair enough. But on a graph, they're ground fast on your car manufacturer in the world. Obviously, the Chinese stuff is different. But as a graph from, let's say, against the European cars and the American car companies, Tesla are outselling them. And that's their model is that the front of house is faceless. So it's working there.
They're still Adam, the leader.
Yeah.
BYD second, Volkswagen third.
Yeah. So if they're implementing that kind of thing, you know, are they doing it wrong or are they doing it right? Well, I don't see Elon Musk very stressed. You know, that kind of way. He's launched himself off into space. But yeah, we're stressing like hell, that kind of way. Can I keep my feet on the ground?
It's a fair thing to ask the viewers. You know, I mean, if you're watching this, and how would you feel about actually not to book into a workshop, going completely online? There's a lot of garage system providers now working towards that with the online system. And if you ever needed your workshop or your garage and you weren't able, do you feel that you need? I know one of the things that it was always been noted about in the independent garage sector, customers like being able to lift the phone and talk to the people that's working on the car. But I don't know, with the younger generation that's coming on now.
That's a great point. They do like that. But we're going back to time is money, and the customer wants the cheapest outcome, or the most cost efficient outcome.
So they're going to have to.
So you can't. So like everything
you
in
can't
life,
have your cake and eat it.
can't have a cake and eat it.
and you vet, like what you said, by vetting it is a good term, because the 91 phone calls you took that day, maybe 15 of them were necessary, yeah, or 20.
Absolutely.
Yeah? But
Absolutely.
the majority weren't. They could have been put in an email or WhatsApp or not made at all.
Yeah,
And
ringing is...
so even if at the end of the day you go through your WhatsApp and email and you have to make 15 calls, so be it. But it's not 90, and it's not interrupting you as you're trying to do a job.
But you know what pushes, right? There's two things that really would push me over the edge, right? One is when I turn around and tell a customer, I will call you when I have an update or news, and they keep ringing, right? They ring every 4 hours. Well, how you know that? It's like, I told you, I mean, your car is not the only car here.
It's very easy. I have a new solution for that one. So when they keep ringing, you just go, any update in the car? Just nope. And just stay silent then, right? And then you go, okay, any idea when you'll have a word? Well, I can't get out and done because the phone keeps ringing. So when the phone stops ringing, I'll be able to look at your car, and then I will ring you with an update.
I was getting so bad.
And I'm not being rude,
Yeah,
it
no,
just fucking blows the head.
100%.
Sorry.
It was getting so bad for me. People are saying to me,
How you fix this landlord work?
no, how'd you fix it that though? But I'm going to leave my car in with you. How long will it be, and how do I? And do you have a car? And I'd say, whoa, hold on a second. And you're looking at me and like, you've got three problems.
Yeah.
You need a car fixed, which there's a potential I might be able to help you with there.
Yeah.
Second of all, you have a problem with time, and I ain't no Swiss watchmaker, so I can't sort out time. And third of all, you want a car. I ain't a logistics engineer. I can't get you around. I can sort out possibly one of your three problems, but the other two, I'm certainly not certified and qualified to do. And
It's out of sight my skill set.
yeah, it's a little bit above your pay grade. And I've often handed back the key. I said, when you can sort out the other two correlations, then you come back into me solar system. But until that happens, I can't help you. And I just felt I was getting aggressive, and I shouldn't have been, because Keith might disagree. I'm not an aggressive person by nature, but just that the phones are ringing, you push to it, the phone is ringing, you're getting bogged down, and ultimately we all want to get the cars that come into the garage fixed as efficiently to the best of our abilities as we can. As I say, people, these aren't trophies. You know, having a yard full of cars is not a trophy. Do you know the kind of way? It's a stress and a pressure. And unfortunately, these cars aren't our cars, they're your cars. So we're trying to help you sort out your problem, but you have to do it our way.
Yeah, we can only
And,
work on
and
one
my
car at
way
a time.
now is that it's WhatsApp and email.
Brilliant.
Excellent. So I think that's definitely it's definitely something to look at. And I think people, again, it's down to time is money, and you know they really don't realise that, as you said, it's one thing sitting there and give you my rate €100 an hour. So if I just work on your car and I have to do 3 hours work on your car, nearly gone. If I do 3 hours work on your car and that's the bill's €300. Now if I have to spend another half an hour chatting to you and explain everything I've done to your car, like it's got to a point where people are really going to have to start realising, if you want the entire ins and outs of it, if you want the story written down, if it's going to take half an hour to write a report on your car, that's going to cost you 50 quid.
Yeah, and you mentioned something in one of your videos there, I think it was yesterday or the day before, about the BMW headlights, and you had to pull the car in onto the ramp. So again, a car is checked. Again, a car is checked in. You know, you do the job card up, it comes in onto the... Forget the job card, forget all the admin bit. Just you taking the car, putting it onto the ramp, right? Setting it up, you know, taking the lamps out, right? So you're 20 minutes straight off the bat. Then obviously... You're gonna. How long did you spend explaining that the headlights were wrong? Then that wasn't a 5-minute conversation, I'm sure. Well, what do we need? Well, they're wrong. Oh, well, what do we need? What's wrong?
No,
that was 10-15 minutes.
I spent more than that giving the customers the part numbers to look up initially to do the job.
Yeah. So like all this time. That's with us because we're buying and selling time. You can lose time so easy.
Yeah, we do need to trim it down. We need to turn. I'm not saying McDonald's, but we need to turn around and I don't have the answer. It's probably is
Horses for courses.
Yeah, but to turn around and get, because at the end of the day, people want to know what's done with their car. Look, probably the reality is, if they're going to a main dealer, they're not going to get told anyway, because they're talking to someone on the desk that doesn't know their arse from their elbow. I don't mean that in every sense, but there's a lot of the bigger chains that are. I know of a certain dealer that every 6 weeks you go down to have a new front of house, and you know what I mean. Now you've got the old traditional dealers that lads are there for years. Yeah, they are the best, in fairness. When you go into a place and you see a lad there for years, that's the best place to go to, because he's there, he knows his stuff. When you're going into a big glass warehouse and every time you go in there's someone new, you got to ask yourself, well, you got to have a certain level of expectation of, he ain't got to have a clue. All right then. So look, we could that's another thing we'll probably best wrap this up at this stage, but it's fair to say the cost of businesses. And look, I get it myself. Sometimes I go into a place and I'm sitting here 9 o'clock at night going, I need food, I haven't time to get for it, going to delivery. £4 for delivery. You know, and then, you know, straight away I'm that customer. Yeah. Just order it. Quit crying. If you want the food, pay for it, and that's it. So to wrap it up, cost of business, they are going up. We thought they were starting to level out, but the government likes throwing in the odd spanner and giving away. They think they're giving away more stuff, but unfortunately, in a roundabout way, when they give you more hours or more sick days, more this, more that, more the other, it has to come from somewhere, and ultimately it's the end user, which is you again, that's going to be paying for it. So don't be fooled.
Yeah.
The local elections are coming up.
Because the government, they're giving it with one hand and taking away with the other.
Ask the questions, and you probably won't get a straight answer anyway. So don't.
Especially our Minister of Justice.
Anyway, look, everyone, as always, thanks for watching this. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you take something for it. Based on YouTube analytics, if you've got this far and you've watched us for the last, I don't know how long, John, are we going now?
This was meant to be 15. I told you I was sniffing glue.
Let's go. Be here for a week. Anyway, thank you so much if you've managed to hang on and listen to us rant and rave for the last X amount of time. And but 91% of the people that watch this video haven't yet clicked on subscribe on YouTube. We would really, really appreciate it from the four of us and John if you could just go down, just click on subscribe. It would mean so much more. We have some special guests coming over the next few weeks we're going to be filming. And as this goes on more and more, we will bring you more, but we do need people to just, it's not going to cost you anything, only time, seconds. Please click on it. And again, thanks for watching.